Hey guys, how you doing? Back at you again with another movie review. Today we are going to be talking about the latest from Wes Anderson, The Phoenician Scheme, starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Threapleton, Michael Cera, and many, many others, of course, which I won't even dive into because there's so many people in Wes Anderson's ensemble as per usual. And this follows industrious Zsa Zsa Corda, played by del Toro, as he tries to scheme the industrial complex of Phoenicia and get an inheritance for his estranged daughter, played by Threapleton. And this movie, look, I think I've said in my out-of-theater reaction, Asteroid City I thought was alright. I thought Anderson was kind of becoming more of a caricature of himself as, you know, the years go by. Even though I did love the French Dispatch, especially. But I do think that this one, right from the opening scene, which is one of the best parts of the entire movie, I was immediately like, whoa. He really kicks it off with such a bang, quite literally. And I think there's more fun to be had with this one than Asteroid City, where it just felt like these people talking about these, like, you know, kind of like pretentious musings with, like, just the most deadpan delivery ever, as per usual with Wes Anderson. But that one felt like it didn't have as much of a heart, or it didn't feel as much like it had intention as thankfully this one does. I think that there is a very clear story that Anderson is trying to tell here, or at least in some regards, and I really do like that the characters were much more well defined, and I felt were actually more like characters, even though, you know, the deadpan delivery, there is still a little of a disconnect there, and I will get into that. But del Toro is absolutely great here. I think that this is one of his better turns in quite some time, and I think he really, like, fits into the realm of Wes Anderson pretty seamlessly. Mia Threapleton's also very good as well, but I think the standout here is Michael Cera, who, it is surprising he's never been in a Wes Anderson movie, right? Because you think Michael Cera, and, you know, zany is definitely one of the first words that comes to mind, but I think he's able to play within the Wes Anderson sandbox so seamlessly. I really like the fact that he gets to do something here that we haven't really seen him lean into yet. And he's a very talented comedic actor, as we all know, from Superbad and everything throughout the years. So to get to see this other side of his comedic sensibilities was something I really was happy about, and I'm glad that he delivered on that level. And so many other great supporting turns as well. Riz Ahmed shows up, he's a lot of fun. Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston show up as these industrial brothers that they have to challenge in a basketball match. And they are kind of like this funny, like, comedy duo, and I absolutely loved seeing them. I think that Jeffrey Wright, every line that he says that comes out of his mouth is absolutely golden. Richard Ayoade is also very funny when he's on screen. I really appreciated his presence. And, you know, there were a few other people who showed up as well that, you know, were pretty serviceable and, you know, just big iconic actors, which I won't get into too many more of them. Benedict Cumberbatch is the only other one I'd mention because he really gets a lot to do near the end of this movie. And so I really enjoyed a lot of the Phoenician Scheme, especially the first part of the movie. I was really getting hooked into the story and, to some extent, the characters. And I will have to say, I mean, you know, when it comes to Wes Anderson movies, that the production design is absolutely out of this world, insane, immaculate, articulate, and stellar. And that is the same here. Probably the best production design I've seen in any movie this year. And his first collaboration with Bruno Del Bono, very surprising. But yet again, it feels exactly like any other Wes Anderson movie from regards to, you know, the mise-en-scène of the framing, and yeah, it really is, you know, very immaculately made from every, you know, measure. And that isn't a surprise, because Wes Anderson has been like this, I think, definitely since Grand Budapest Hotel. I think that's when he really leaned into a lot of the stuff, and you could say, to a further extent, Moonrise Kingdom. But the thing is, as opposed to those movies, which I think are really anchored in this heart, even though the whimsy, deadpan sense of humor is still there, I feel like here it gets a little lost. Like, the plot is very clearly constructed, and I like the way the details come together, But ultimately, I felt like I was admiring this movie more than actually being invested in it. And I might need to watch it again because I was a little tired, so that could be playing, a factor into my score for this film. But even with that being said, I don't know how much more I would like it. Like I said, I do want to see it again at some point, but this isn't one that I'm going to rush out and see, because I just don't think that the heart is there like it was in his earlier movies, like Rushmore, like Royal Tenenbaums, all that stuff. I just don't even think that it comes across quite in that way. And if I watch it again, like I said, I'll probably appreciate it slightly more. And also there's like this whole religious aspect to the movie, because this isn't really that much of a spoiler, but let's say Zsa Zsa, he experiences a lot of near-death experiences in the movie, and there's kind of like this interlude that plays out almost very Fellini-esque, I would even say, where he's kind of like in heaven, and you don't know if it's a dream sequence or you don't know if he's actually there. And I felt like a lot of those elements didn't really make a whole lot of sense after a while, considering the logistics of the movie itself. That's all I'll really say. And I just don't know if that entirely worked for me 100%. And so, yet again, I think some of these concerns may be alleviated, but this isn't one of, Wes Anderson's best movies. I'd argue that it probably is his weakest film after Asteroid City, I would say, because I really do think that even though this feels like less of a caricature than his last movie did, it still doesn't have that level of attachment for me that I love to find in all of Wes Anderson's best films. But even so, there's a lot to appreciate here. There's a lot of great and hysterical moments, and I think that really, pushes it through for me enjoying this movie to the extent that I did. And I'm going to give The Phoenician Scheme a 7 out of 10. Yet again, not his best, but this is still a good movie, and if you're a Wes Anderson fan, you have to go see it and judge it for yourself. You could end up loving this one, and like I said, I'm going to try to see it sometime. Again, I'm so busy, so I don't know if I'll get to see it in the theaters, but I definitely plan on rewatching it by the end of the year at the very least. But you guys let me know what you thought about The Phoenician Scheme down in the comments below. Do you think it's Wes Anderson's best in years? Did you like it more than Asteroid City or The French Dispatch? Let me know all that and more in the comments, and please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more movie reviews like this. This weekend, yet again, I'm sorry that I'm so behind on these uploads. I got a busy life and a busy schedule, but I do want to get out my review of Materialist and the remake of How to Train Your Dragon by the end of next week, and so those should be on the horizon very, very soon. Be sure to look out for those, and I will talk to you in the next video.